And we are live. It is Racer Puka. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get into a little bit of USA Nationals. I will take some of your questions so you can start throwing those questions to me right now. A little bit of Q&A. I got a little bit of time here tonight. Beautiful night here in Minnesota. Not too hot, not too cold. We've got the windows open. It's just right. I pulled up the Cedar Lake Speedway schedule of events, so we'll just kind of go over some of the event stuff tonight, some times and some specifics. And like I said, I think I said on my last video that it's the 32nd annual, but we're less than 20 days away. You know, this thing seems to sneak up every year. We're less than 20 days away from some of the 3 best days of summer. On that Thursday night, 6:30 hot lap, 7 o'clock complete show of World of Outlaw late models, and then the USRA limited late models. Put your money down on Joe Bravo to win that USRA late model portion. So Friday, same thing, 6:30 hot laps, 7 o'clock. Jonathan Davenport, you're going to be so sad. If you saw him on Twitter last year, double heat races and dash for USA Nationals and a complete show of the WAZOTA or the local NASCAR, whatever you want to call them. The locals is going on Friday. Then Saturday, for those of you that are involved in the Fans Fund, is a 12:30 luncheon. Again, 6:30 hot laps, 7 o'clock B mains, 100 lapper, and of course a complete show of the locals. So like I said, this thing seems to sneak up every year. So I'm going to try and do some videos every week as we lead up to this thing. So everybody is geared up and just ready to sprint when we get down to Cedar Lake here on August 6th, which would be Thursday, would be the first night. But like I said, I think it's the 32nd annual. Oh, and they also posted here, I'm looking at their webpage, the 2021 USA Nationals will be the 5th through the 7th. This year, 6th through 8th. Next year, 5th through 7th. All right. So really excited. And let me see here. What do we got for questions? Who are the guys behind you? Well, those guys? I'm not going to do that tonight. I have limited time. Like they were saying here, Thursday night, after race party in the pits. That'll probably get started at midnight. You will not see Racer Puka there. I'm a 9 o'clock bedtime guy. It's getting close to 9 o'clock, so I will not answer those tonight because I got to get to bed, and I will not be at the party on Thursday night. So what else we got here? If racing was like any other sport and you were Scott Bloomquist's agent and his contract was up, what would he get paid next year? Wow. Now that's an interesting question. Contract up, renew Bloomquist. You talk about a tough year. You talk about a year where he's struggling. I watched him a week ago. Not only did he get passed by a crate late model in the B feature, so Bloomquist was in the B feature, but I also saw him get lapped in the A main. You can see, if you go to the One to Go show, which is the show we do, podcast, Facebook show, on TikTok, they put up a clip of just 2 years ago, Bloomquist at the Silver Dollar Nationals, which is going on this weekend, fighting JD at the end for the win. And that's not the Scott Bloomquist that we're seeing this year. And more so, I think just, the contract thing or whatever, the more important thing is it good for the sport? Scott Bloomquist and Billy Moyer have obviously been king of the sport for, a few decades here. And is it good for him to be struggling? Because, when you get into a niche sport like racing, there's only so many names that stick out. There's only so many names that have been around for a while. And obviously Bloomquist is one of them. And, is it good for the sport for him to be struggling? It's good that he's on the road. And it's really good that he's visiting a bunch of tracks that he hasn't been to in several years, because he's obviously doing the World of Outlaws this year versus the Lucas. So that's all good. And I for his sake, I hope he's selling a lot of t-shirts, because that's going to have to be his bread and butter. Now, I know he tested. They had a couple days off after Superior, the Nicola Speedway on Tuesday. They raced. They didn't race again until Friday. The Gonic lot posted some pictures. Lanigan, I think Boone, Briggs, Bloomquist, they were testing last week. But I just think that car is bent. I mean, that's, according to everything I've researched, that's the same car that hit the wall when the rain started to fall at the Dream last year. And I just think something is just not quite right. And he needs some time to get that whole thing kind of, maybe he needs a new car. Well, I don't know what it is, but he needs to get things put back together. I mean, it's one thing to not win every night, and not that he necessarily won every night last year in a Lucas, but, you know, by this time of the year, and obviously we got Corona and all this stuff, we probably had 5 wins. You know, we have 0 wins. But not only does he have 0 wins, he's in B features. He's getting beat by crate late models. So he's just not an eyelash off. He's 5 steps behind, you know, so that's a big difference. But yeah, that's a great question. That's an interesting question. What would you pay Bloomquist if you were his agent? It comes January 1st, 2021. How would you negotiate that deal? It's tough. I mean, does he draw a crowd? Yes. Like I said, does he sell T-shirts? I guess the T-shirts is kind of your, you know, that's kind of your contract, right? The more T-shirts you're selling shows you how valuable you are. You know, the free market's kind of telling you this is what you're worth. And, you know, it'd be interesting to know kind of what his T-shirt sales are this year. I imagine they're still strong because he's still Scott Bloomquist. But if he goes through this for a couple of years, it could be pretty tough even on that end. No. Let's see here. Yes, I agree. Chad Mader had a great week. Gosh, what did he get in I think it was the hard charger in Superior. He got 6th one day this week with the World of Outlaws. I couldn't remember if it was Superior or if it was Grand Forks on Friday, or excuse me, Sunday. It rained out Friday. They ended up racing on Sunday. Or Fargo on Saturday. But yeah, Chad Mader was impressive. He just needs to, you know, he asked about the rankings too. So the One to Go show, we do the power rankings for the late models locally. You know, Chad just hasn't been able to win a local race. You know, if he can win a local race, he can definitely shoot up in those rankings. But, you know, there's guys that have won races, and he hasn't won a race yet. So, but yeah, he was very impressive. He looked really good. He made that high side work when I was down there at Gonic Lawn Superior on Tuesday. And yeah, he was pretty impressive there, I have to say. You know, comes from a good racing, you know, pedigree, obviously, and very impressive. Chad Mader in a Wazota car. Yes, this is my hair. There it is. I'm not, you know, so someone asked if this is one of those visors with the hair. You ever seen those? You go to a golf course, we got there. Now, this is my hair. That's the one thing I got. I got a lot of hair still. My dad turns 75 next week. He's got, well, it's thinned out a little bit. He's got a pretty good, so for 75, he's got a pretty good head of hair. So, yeah, I'm blessed with that. We're going good there. Most memorable USA Nationals moment. Wow. So my first USA Nationals, 1991. I went again in 1995. And then I have not missed a USA Nationals since 2001, except for 2004. Got called into a wedding. Guy was not a race fan. Terrible weekend. And in 2005, my son was born. We were living out in Billings, Montana at the time. So I didn't make that one. But, you know, and that's tough because, you know, you say that and, you know, because, you know, you right away you want to think of whether it was Have a Tampa or you want to think of the Extreme Dirt car, or and then they had, you know, it was kind of independent, non-sanctioned for a while, and now it's been World of Outlaws for, boy, getting probably close to a decade. But, you know, they've, like I said, about 20 years ago, I think the Cook still owned it in the early 2000s. They started going to this format of, we're going to do a complete Wazota show. And I remember Kent Arment showing up and John Bay from, I believe he's from Deadwood, South Dakota. And, I mean, they you know, especially in the early 2000s, I mean, they packed him in there. You know, there was, you know, Pete Parker would come in. You had guys from all over. It was fantastic. I think even Brad Sang showed up a couple of times. It was Jeff Wildung would show up with both cars. One year he had Rick Eckert, or maybe a couple of years. He had Rick Eckert run his Rocket in the Wazota portion. I mean, it was fantastic. But, you know, I mean, in the Wazota side, I remember in 2001, I believe it was. I mean, Tom Nesbitt, you know, you guys watch the show, you know, he's my hero. And it was the last lap, and we were sitting on the backstretch, and he came out of 4 on the last lap one of the nights and passed Mitch and Mars on the last lap, I think, to get maybe 3rd. So, and he partied it up that night. He was really happy, but he had one of those new Rayburns at that time. The Rayburns were really hot in the late 90s. I think he had a 99 Rayburn. This was 01. A lot of guys weren't running them yet. That's when GRT was really big, if you remember. Masters Built was, of course, really big. The Smackdowns weren't out yet, but they came out like a couple years later. But that was super memorable because he was 60-ish, you know. And people are talking about Billy Moyer, he's 62. But remember, Nesbitt's car was probably, yeah, like 2 years old, and his engine probably had 35 shows on it, you know. Billy Moyer's got a brand new car, brand new everything, and he's probably got 5 engines, you know. He probably changes them every couple weeks. So, but that was a memorable night. And I would say one of my the thing that comes to mind here, quick, I'd have to think about it for a while because I've been to so many, but I talked on the last video about Terry Casey leading a bunch of laps in 07, and I think that was the same year. You know, he's got the reputation with these guys. Moyer deemed him the Wisconsin weapon because he wasn't afraid to tear a little sheet metal up. And there was a year, those of you that have been to Cedar Lake, you know, entering into corner 3, there's that light pole, and he got the osprey nest up there. Well, he stuffed McDowell in the wall in that area. I mean, McDowell he stuffed him. It's, you know, it's cloudy, sparks flying. You know, that's one of the great things about Cedar Lake, just the sparks flying. And McDowell gets out of the car, and, you know, they're parade lapping around, and he just, you know, Casey comes by and he gives him the point, just furious. And I would say that was one of the highlights, and it was in the heat. But, you know, the heat races for the USA Nationals most years are very intense. They're not as intense anymore because of the World of Outlaws format. But when they, like in 07, they were still doing that independent deal. I think the Extreme Dirt cars, you know, well, like I said, I wasn't there. I know in 03, I can't remember about 04 and 05 what they did. But 06, when I returned, that's when they were running their own show, and they had a little tire rule, and they were kind of doing their thing. And it wasn't just the fast cars, you know, starting on the front row. So the heat races were pretty. I remember one year when, boy, this must have been 2011, 2012, when T-Mac passed Bloomquist in the heat race, and the place went wild. You talk about a roar when T-Mac put that rocket past Bloomquist. It was pretty exciting. So, but a lot of great moments, and you know, a lot of the memories from the USA Nationals, quite frankly, are not memories on the track. It's all the other ancillary stuff that goes on in the whole, whether it's the hotel or it's you know, stuff you do with friends at campsites before, or it's the fans fund, or it's the golf scramble. I mean, we always get together with some friends and stuff, so it's always fun. But like I said, I think that Casey incident, when he stuffed McDowell in the wall, I believe that would have been 07. That was the year that he led several laps. I mean, the race was his until his teammate, Dave Kane, who's a modified driver, should never, ever sit in a late model after that night. And I don't think he has since. I think everyone learned their lesson with him. Took his teammate out, being Terry Casey, and the rest is history, as they say. So, all right. That's all I got tonight. Thank you for joining. Like I said, we're gonna do some videos here leading up to the USA Nationals. We're gonna try and get in some fans fun stuff. I'm gonna try and dig up some stuff on the purse, see if I can find anything about that. But we'll keep you updated, and we will catch you all at the, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the 32nd annual USA Nationals in less than 20 days. All right, everyone, take care. We'll see you in the next video.